Hi, my name is Christy Alosio, and I am a licensed clinical social worker in Indianapolis, Indiana. I am a counselor at Healing Hearts of Indy, and we do marriage, individual, family, and group therapy. So today I want to talk a little bit about intimacy and relationships and kind of what that looks like in marriage. I often have couples who come in and who are dealing with communication issues, or they're having too much conflict in their relationship, and that's kind of what they think the root of the problem is. And they'll come in and ask for help with their communication or their conflict. Most of the time, with those couples, we can kind of dig underneath and find out that there's actually some deeper issues going on with some of the intimacy that's in the relationship. They're not necessarily being completely intimate and vulnerable and sharing with the other person what they're thinking or what they're feeling. So I want to talk a little bit today about intimacy and a relationship and what that looks like. I think most people are under the impression that intimacy is always kind of a warm and fuzzy good thing to have in a relationship. I think people kind of equate it to how you feel at the beginning of a relationship when you're talking and you're getting to know each other and everything feels really good, and we can talk more at a deeper level. And that's great, and that is a really good part of emotional intimacy, but it's not the entire part of intimacy. Intimacy does not always feel warm and fuzzy in a relationship. Actually, sometimes it doesn't really feel good, but it's absolutely necessary in a relationship. The good feeling intimacy as well as the bad feeling intimacy are really important to have together to create a healthy relationship. So some of the stuff that feels bad, because I know you might be questioning now a little bit about that because it sounds weird, but the bad emotional intimacy is being able to give our partner feedback about how we see them on things maybe that they're struggling with, that we're able to really tell them how we see them, tell them how we perceive them, tell them things that we are bothered by. Somebody has a lot of anger issues and they blow up at the family, being able to say, you know what, I think your anger scared the kids. I think that they're having a hard time with it. That doesn't feel good. That's not a conversation people want to have, but it creates intimacy in a relationship, and you're being able to really be vulnerable and let out to the other person how you truly feel or how you truly see something. So a lot of times people really avoid that type of intimacy because it doesn't feel good. They avoid it because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. They don't want to make the other person feel bad. They don't want to create conflict in the relationship. A lot of times, kind of along those same lines, is it feels easier to just let it go or to not deal with it, hoping maybe that it will fix itself, or that you won't have to bring it up and things will be okay. So some of those are the reasons that we shy away from having that type of intimacy in a relationship. And honestly, who wants to have those really hard, deep conversations? They're difficult to have, and they can be tense, and they can create anxiety for us. But the issue is if you don't have these conversations, it's really likely that some resentment is going to build in your relationship. And in my opinion, resentment is a really big marriage killer. It could be worse than an affair. It could be worse than alcohol on a lot of levels, because if resentment gets built up to a certain point, it's really hard to see past that resentment, to see anything positive or any growth or change in a relationship. So if somebody's been an alcoholic for 10 years and their spouse has a lot of resentment, and that person decides to get sober, a lot of times the spouse will still kind of view the marriage through those 10 years that they were an alcoholic. Well, you don't drink now, but for 10 years I had to deal with X, Y, and Z. And so the spouse, changed, became sober, and did what they needed to do to be more healthy in the relationship. But because of the resentment that's built up, it was hard for the other person to see it. And that's kind of the issue that resentment can bring, and why it's such a danger to have in a relationship. So even though the bad intimacy or the painful intimacy, is not an easy thing to have, it can really help your marriage long term to not develop some of the resentment that may be there, or may be created by some of the stuff going on. So what does intimacy look like? Well, on the fuzzy intimacy side, it's about sharing our hopes and dreams, sharing our goals. Not all those hopes and dreams have to be logistical and reachable. It can be just dreaming together. It's good to have some shared goals that are more reachable that you want to plan out and reach, but it's also good to just dream and hope together. Those are on the kind of fuzzy side, but on the painful side, are talking about our fears, talking about our faults, talking about our feelings, talking about deep down what we really need. Those are all things sometimes that are harder conversations to have that may be difficult. But let's face it, if we are in a relationship with somebody and we are expected to share our life together, share our house together, share our kids together, share our money together, share our schedules together, our fun together, there are going to be things that we need to bring up with the other person that bother us, that we aren't happy about, that bring us pain. It's normal to have that in a relationship. Not every, relationships are not going to feel great and warm and fuzzy all the time. Sometimes we're gonna fight. We're gonna have disagreements. It's a normal part of a relationship. So, having that intimacy where we can talk about that and we can be vulnerable about that and we can talk about our disagreements is a really healthy, great thing to have. And it's not an easy thing to do. It can be really difficult, but it really can help your relationship grow to a new level. So, if you think that your relationship is struggling with some intimacy, Healing Hearts of Indy counseling is a great place to have a guide to kind of help you do that, a safe place to maybe start having some of those conversations. The hardest person to take feedback from is your spouse, and so we're here to kind of help you to be able to kind of interpret that for you and help you be able to hear that. So if you're interested in more information, our website is healingheartsofindy.com, and you can also reach out and email me at Christy@healingheartsofindy.com. That's CHRISTY@healingheartsofindy.com. Thank you.